It's morning, and I stayed in Knoxville last night, so now it's time to get on the road. We're about to head out to the Smoky Mountains, to Cades Cove. It's the first place I remember as a child going in the Smokies, and I vaguely remember it, so I'm sure this time it's going to be a whole lot different. But we have our new hiking boots on, and it is time to hit the road. So let's just hope we don't hit this traffic. It's still kind of early. Morning moment with Crystal real quick. That's right, I have a tip. For every place that you're going, there are usually rewards programs, like I was telling you about Sonic and Subway. Well, guess what? A lot of the gas stations have them too, especially the truck stops. So Pilot and Flying J, which are the same company, have a wonderful rewards program where you actually get discounts on all your purchases. So for someone like me, that means I save 6 cents off of each time I get coffee, and the 10th one is free. Yeah. So that really pays off in the long run. Maybe you don't see it necessarily in the short term, but I also can get points off of my gas, which gives me cheaper gas and more discounts. Yeah, it's like frequent flyer miles for drivers. So definitely check them out at truck stops. Here's my wisdom. Now we're gonna get on the road. We have about an hour to go. We're finally in the Smoky Mountains, and as you can see, it is a beautiful day here. I just came into the entrance that's close to Cades Cove, so we're about to go over there and check out some of the really amazing things that are in the cove area. But I had to stop off at this vantage point because it's just so peaceful and pretty. I am so happy right now. So I stopped off and I was hoping to get a really cool selfie with this. There is too much traffic. All these tourists aren't making it easy for me today. It's always nice to see lots of people utilizing a space that's as beautiful as this though, so I'm not even gonna complain that I couldn't get a selfie. I'm about to go through this tunnel, get some video of it instead, and then keep moving. This is a loop trail, so it's gonna go all the way around the cove. And I'm hoping to find a visitor center because I'd really like to get a map. Finally made it to the entrance of Cades Cove where the loop trail starts. There's a campground right over here, and there is an information kiosk so we can pick up a map, which I really think is important because I want to go hiking and I need to find where my hiking trails are. So I'm gonna go over here and pick that up, and then no more than entered into Cades Cove, and I've already found something absolutely awesome. Here are the horses. They are so pretty. Cades Cove is a pretty substantially sized loop. It has one-way traffic, so you don't have to worry about looking at something and another car coming up. The road is really narrow, but there's lots of turnoffs so that you can park so other people can go around you, so nobody's having to wait on you while you take a picture. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm stopping off at this turnout that they have along Cades Cove to see what it is. It's supposed to be a cabin. There's a little trail to it, so let's go. About a quarter of a mile, and it goes out to a cabin that has some historic symbolism to this area. So we're gonna go check it out. The ground looks pretty even, it's not muddy, and we're off to our first adventure of the day. sign is exactly what we've been talking about. It is illegal to deface anything at a national park because you can get a ticket, up to 6 months in jail, and a $5,000 fine. Shame, shame. Just leave it how it is. Cabin in front of us is from about the 1820s. So it has been here for a very, very long time. And it preserves the classic details of the corners and the small doors, things like that that were very signature to that time. This was a nice house back in the day. It's kind of hard to believe that now we think we can only have a nice house if it's like 2,500 square feet or more, because this is so far from that. Picture, if you will, within this house, an entire family dwelling there. That's a lot of people for a very small space. But back in the day, they didn't feel like they needed all the things that we needed now. And this was high living. It has 2 stories, although I will say the upper story is really short. It has a fireplace to keep them warm, a couple nice doors, some really nice porches, and then all of this space around. We came in through the woods, we're leaving through the field. There are a lot of people coming out here. This is the first big stop in Cades Cove, and this mountain view, I could have this like every day. Negative to taking a different path on your way out than whenever you come in is it doesn't drop you off at the same spot. So by me going this way, I'm actually going to come out at the secondary parking lot instead of the original parking lot, which isn't a big deal, but I need to remember that for future hikes so that I don't make that mistake and end up in some completely different place. Yeah, didn't think that through very well. Oh well. I absolutely love that in Cades Cove you can literally just like drive a little bit and then there's a turnout and there's something there to check out. So this one, there's a little parking over here obviously. And we're going up this little trail right here. And at the top, in the bright light, there's something really neat. It looks like an old church. It's a pretty well-preserved church. It even has its own piano and hymnals, and looks like somebody could still play it. It's just a little view. Just outside of this really well-preserved church is actually a little cemetery right in the middle of Cades Cove. I don't know what to think about this one, y'all. There is still very active. There's somebody laid to rest there as late as 2007. Can you imagine having your family plot in the middle of a national park? It's a little different. Some people that I was talking to though, they actually saw a bear earlier, so we're gonna look for bear. We may not see any, but that's our goal of the day, is to see one bear in a really non-confrontational way. Yeah, non-confrontational. I don't want to have to get big and scary and rawr and defend myself, because I don't think I could if I had to, but we're back on the loop. I just passed another old church Didn't stop though. There was actually a funeral going on. So again, revert back to what I said before. Can you imagine being buried in a national park? I don't know, it's just a little strange to me. Or you're trying to have your funeral and there's all these tourists going by. I can't imagine that would be like a good feeling on one of the worst days of your life where you're putting a family member to rest. Some rubbernecker is leaning out the window with a camera. I don't know, it's just a little strange. I don't know, I'd stop off at this onlook to see the beautiful ridges of the mountains. Now, this video cannot do it justice because there are so many beautiful colors. And there is a wild animal coming this way. Oh my goodness. I'll be better prepared next time. I have the little lens on the camera, but this time I'm gonna have the big lens right beside me. So if I see another one, I'm getting it. Although the video was kind of cool. I'd rather have cool pictures. Finally found a visitor center, like a real one. So I'm gonna stop here, and it looks like there's some really neat stuff up here that we can learn from. So I'm trying to find a parking place. It's pretty packed over here. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get some postcards, some more information on some trails, and find out where the place that I want to go next is. Should be interesting. My little day pack is getting kind of heavy. I have a lot of equipment in here, but I feel like I have to have it with me at all times just in case I see something epic. So, I guess I need to look into a day pack with wider straps, I think. Outside the visitor center is an early mountain village, and it looks really cool. -1 sign. Eek! I don't do snakes. So if suddenly there's a snake, we're gonna get to see how fast I can run yet again. I don't like that. The Smoky Mountains are completely free to enter, but they do have these little donation boxes, and also the merchandise that they sell goes into improving the park. So it looks like they have one of those improvement projects going on right here where they're restoring the old mill, and it's pretty neat looking. I'm sure that in just a short time it'll look just like the rest of the wood, but check this out. Look at that improvement, just so that we can have an active reference as to what something looked like. An old little stove in here, so they could cook on that instead of just having the fire to cook on, which is a pretty nice luxury, so to speak. And then there's this additional room that can be accessed from the front or the back that has its own fireplace as well. And it tells a little bit about these rooms in each one with these little informative things. And the history in here is pretty interesting. This house was actually bought in 1887 by this woman right here, who they called Aunt Becky. And apparently she was here until 1940. So she is probably very active in this community, potentially in one of those churches that we passed by a while ago. We're gonna take the side stairs down and off to this other building over here. And oh, it looks like there's a couple of them. It's super bright. But going in and out of the houses, you have to like take off your sunglasses because otherwise you can't see. But as we go down here, It looks like this might have been a barn. Not sure yet, but we shall see. So I have to go check it out. There's a few little steps. Oh, look at that. This place is pretty cool. It's a very fair representation of a lot of the different buildings that you would find, and it's right up next to this amazing water. So I had to come down to the water. I love water, and this is beautiful. Look at this, so peaceful. A lot of times they did put these communities right next to water so that they could have a source of movement for their mill, so that they could churn and be able to have stuff, basically. So, perfect location. We've seen all of that. We're gonna go back to the car and get back on the road so we can see what else Cades Cove has to offer. And then make our way to an incredibly difficult feeling hike. Another stop along the Cades Cove route. There's so many of these little historic homes, and each one of them is a little bit different in how that they were created and laid out. The scene of having a barn right up next to the mountainside is gorgeous, and of course I had to take a few pictures. Pretty cool. We got to see two bears, and they were really high up in a tree taking a nap, which again makes you realize that it doesn't matter where you are, a bear can find you. So that was very interesting. They were sleeping, so I got a couple of pictures, and I don't know how they turned out because they were kind of far away, but I'm really happy we got the big lens, because otherwise that would have not been possible. There are people trying to take pictures with their cell phones and they just look grainy and bad. So let's cross our fingers. I feel like all in all, Cades Cove was a great way to start my day here in the Smokies. Now, going around, it was kind of crowded. I'm here on a Friday, so I was hoping to be here a little bit more midweek to avoid some of the crowds, but according to the park ranger, it's pretty much like this every day. Pretty awesome what you can see by just turning out on one of these little areas right here. It's so pretty. So pretty. They had 5 cancellations that you can put in your passport. So, got all of those, and they're inside the museum, which I'm now going through. had lots of interesting nature information. The video shows every 20 minutes, but it was already showing. So I'm moving on to my next stop, which is a restroom, and then going to see what trails they have over here. Decided to pull off so we could have a roadside chat. It's not that I don't like people, because I do, and I think that everybody is genuinely in the same place to enjoy the same thing. So that's okay. What I don't like is the Smoky Mountains are not set up like someplace like the Grand Canyon, where you park in a central place and then take the shuttle pretty much everywhere. Instead, there is a very small road. One lane going this way, one lane coming this way. And because of that, there are no passings, there's only these little pull-offs. So you end up with 20 cars behind you at any given time on a busy day. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that all 20 of those cars are wanting to go somewhere. So they try to push you to go faster. The roads are windy and curvy and very steep. So being pushed along is not a good feeling. Not to mention, you're not being able to take in the scenery around you, which is the whole purpose of coming to the Smokies. So, I'm not a happy camper today. It's beautiful here, and I should be enjoying some amazing hike, but even the hiking trails are too busy. When you get to a trailhead, there's 50 cars in a place designed for maybe 20. Then there are cars lined up all down the side of the road. So you know that that trail is not going to be one where you're not seeing people every 2 seconds, which kind of takes away from it. Again, it's not that I don't like people, it's that I believe that when you're in your outdoor spaces, you should be able to truly enjoy your outdoor spaces. And you can't if people are not necessarily thinking of others. Now, what do I mean by that? Standing in the way, parking in the way, stopping in the middle of the road, not taking care of their children, not taking care of their pets, throwing down their trash. Yeah, all of those things. And that's unfortunately what I've seen a lot of today. And I don't think it's normally this bad. The ranger said that it's the last weekend before school starts and the last weekend before Labor Day, so it is a little bit more full on Friday, but at the same time, I know it's pretty crowded, kind of off and on throughout the year. I really wish I would have come on like a random Tuesday. I think that if you can come to the Smokies on a random day of the week, other than Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, your experience will probably be better. Anyway, my rant is over, and I am going to go to Clingman's Dome now. It's the highest point in the park, and I think after that I'm going to make it a day, only because I'm probably going to have to wait a little bit to get to the top based on people. Wish us luck. Let's do this. On this overlook, and there's two parts. There's the lower part, which I'm actually on, or the upper part where there are way too many people. There's 2 tour buses and a parking lot full of people who went to the upper, but if you come down to the lower, you have a spectacular view as well. Dome and parked in the parking lot back here. Look at these rocks. It's interesting how the water filters down Now there are a lot of people here, so we're gonna take our time and see what we can see despite all of the extras. So let's go. Start the climb. It's a little bit more chilly up here. Altitude. Every time. My lungs aren't designed for it. And we made it to the ramp. We can do it. Top. And now the easy part, going downhill. Makes the hike worth it. Just put it in perspective. I've already come down the hill a considerable way. And you can see right here, that's where the parking lot is. So it's a very large incline over about half a mile. That's why I was dying, but down is so easy. You see people with the face of dread. I'm pretty sure that was me like 20 minutes ago. But now I'm happy. Okay, so got back to the car just in time. Some really nasty gray rain clouds are moving in over this entire section of the Smokies. I was just talking to a ranger on the way down, and he said they're kind of expecting some rain. Now, with that being said, I am at an impasse. I have to figure out where I want to go. I had no idea that Klingman's Dome was already in North Carolina, so technically I made it into another state. So now, do I double back and go to Gatlinburg just because they have Wi-Fi? Or do I move forward into North Carolina? Because surely somebody has Wi-Fi there. Now I guess tune in tomorrow to find out which direction I went. North, south, north, south. Tennessee, North Carolina. Tennessee, North Carolina. Woo!